Putting makes up about 40% of your strokes in a round of golf. Yet most golfers spend almost no time learning how to read greens properly. Reading greens is the skill of figuring out which way the ball will curve as it rolls toward the hole and how hard to hit it. It's part science, part art, and it can make the difference between making putts and missing them. In this video, I'll explain everything you need to know about reading greens in a way that's easy to understand. Whether you're just starting out or you've been playing for years, learning to read greens better will help you make more putts and lower your scores. Let's start with the most basic concept. What does reading the green actually mean? What is reading the green? Reading the green means figuring out how the ball will roll from your ball to the hole, including which direction it will curve and how fast it will travel. What makes reading greens important is that even a perfectly struck putt will miss if you've misread the break. The break is the amount the ball curves due to the slope of the green. A putt might break left, right, or go straight, depending on the slope. Professional golfers and their caddies spend several minutes reading important putts, looking at the green from multiple angles. They're trying to visualize the exact path the ball will take to the hole. Reading greens involves understanding several factors: the slope of the green, which way it tilts, the speed of the green, how fast the ball rolls, the grain of the grass, which direction the grass grows, and even factors like wind and moisture. The goal is to pick the right line and the right speed so the ball curves into the hole. Understanding slope and break. Slope is the tilt of the green, and break is how much the ball curves because of that slope. Understanding how slope creates break is fundamental to reading greens. What makes slope important is that gravity pulls the ball downhill as it rolls. If the green slopes from right to left, the ball will curve left as it slows down. The steeper the slope, the more the ball will break. Think of it like rolling a ball across a tilted table. The ball won't roll straight, it will curve downhill. The same thing happens on a putting green, just usually with more subtle slopes. The amount of break depends on both the slope and the speed of your putt. A faster putt, hit harder, will break less because it's moving too fast for gravity to pull it as much. A slower putt will break more because gravity has more time to affect it. Professional golfers talk about break in terms of inches or feet. They might say, this putt breaks 6 inches left, or this is a 2-cup right to left putt. Reading from multiple angles. One of the most important green reading techniques is to look at your putt from multiple angles to get a complete picture of the slope. What makes multiple angles important is that some slopes are hard to see from certain positions. A slope that's invisible from behind the ball might be obvious from the side or from behind the hole. The most common angles to read from are behind your ball looking toward the hole, behind the hole looking back at your ball, and from the low side of the putt, the side the ball will break toward. Tiger Woods is meticulous about reading putts from multiple angles, often walking around the hole to see the slope from every direction. This thoroughness is one reason he's been such a great putter throughout his career. When reading from behind the ball, you're seeing the line you need to start the ball on. When reading from behind the hole, you're seeing where the ball will be entering the hole. From the low side, you can often see the overall slope more clearly. The low point of the green. Every green has a low point, the spot where water would naturally drain to. Understanding where this low point is helps you read putts more accurately. What makes the low point important is that all putts will generally break toward it. If you can identify where the low point is, you have a reference for which direction putts will break from different parts of the green. Often the low point is near the front or side of the green where drainage is designed. Greens are built with subtle slopes to allow water to drain, and these slopes affect how putts break. A simple way to find the low point is to look at the green from a distance as you approach it. Where does it look like water would flow? That's probably the low point, and putts will generally break in that direction. Speed and break relationship. The speed you hit a putt directly affects how much it breaks. Understanding this relationship is crucial for making putts consistently. What makes this relationship important is that the same putt can break different amounts depending on how hard you hit it. A putt hit firmly will take less break than the same putt hit softly. Think of it like a car taking a turn. A car going fast can drive straighter through a turn, while a car going slow has to turn more sharply. The same principle applies to putts. Many putting coaches teach the concept of dying the ball at the hole versus hitting it firm. Dying putts at the hole means hitting them just hard enough to reach the hole, which means they'll break more. Hitting putts firm means hitting them harder, which means they'll break less but might roll past if you miss. Grain direction. Grain is the direction the grass grows on the green, and it can significantly affect how putts roll, especially on certain types of grass. What makes grain important is that putts roll faster when going with the grain, down grain, and slower when going against the grain, into the grain. Grain can also affect break. Putts break more when going down grain. Grain is most noticeable on Bermuda grass greens, which are common in warm climates. On bent grass greens, which are common in cooler climates, grain has less effect. To identify grain direction, look at the grass. If it looks shiny or lighter, you're looking down grain. If it looks dark or dull, you're looking into the grain. Grass also tends to grow toward the setting sun and toward water sources. Uphill versus downhill putts. Uphill and downhill putts behave very differently, and understanding these differences is crucial for good green reading. What makes the distinction important is that uphill putts break less than downhill putts, and they're generally easier to make. Downhill putts break more and require a softer touch. On uphill putts, you need to hit the ball harder to reach the hole, which means the ball is rolling faster and breaks less. You can also be more aggressive because if you miss, the ball won't roll far past the hole. On downhill putts, you need to hit the ball softer, which means it's rolling slower and breaks more. You also need to be more careful because if you miss, the ball can roll well past the hole. Professional golfers often talk about leaving yourself uphill when planning their approach shots. They'd rather have a 30-foot uphill putt than a 15-foot downhill putt because uphill putts are easier to control. Green speed. Green speed refers to how fast the ball rolls on the green. Faster greens mean the ball rolls farther with the same stroke, while slower greens require a firmer stroke. What makes green speed important is that it affects both distance control and break. On faster greens, putts break more because the ball is rolling slower. On slower greens, putts break less. Green speed is measured using a stimpmeter. Professional tournament greens typically run at 11 to 13 on the stimpmeter, while average public course greens might be 8 to 9. At the Masters, the greens are famously fast, often running at 13 or higher. This makes reading putts even more critical because small slopes create significant break. You can get a feel for green speed by hitting a few practice putts before your round, or by watching how your first few putts roll. Adjust your stroke accordingly, softer on fast greens, firmer on slow greens. The fall line. The fall line is the direction water would flow if you poured it on the green. It's the steepest downhill direction from any point on the green. What makes the fall line important is that it's a reference point for understanding break. Putts that go across the fall line will break the most. Putts that go with or against the fall line will break less or not at all. To find the fall line, imagine pouring water on the green. Which way would it flow? That's the fall line. Putts that cross this line will break in the direction of the fall line. Understanding the fall line helps you make sense of complex greens with multiple slopes. Once you identify the fall line, you can better predict how putts will break from different positions. Visualizing the line. Once you've read the green, the final step is to visualize the exact line you want the ball to roll on from your ball to the hole. What makes visualization important is that it helps you commit to your read and make a confident stroke. If you're uncertain about the line, you're more likely to make a tentative stroke and miss the putt. Many great putters talk about seeing the line as if it's drawn on the green. They visualize the ball rolling along this line, breaking at the right point, and falling into the hole. Jack Nicklaus was famous for his visualization skills. He would stand behind his ball, visualize the entire putt from start to finish, and then step up and stroke it confidently along that line. To improve your visualization, pick a specific spot a few feet in front of your ball on your intended line. Focus on rolling the ball over that spot at the right speed. Common green reading mistakes. Understanding common mistakes helps you avoid them and read greens more accurately. The most common mistake is not reading enough break. Most amateur golfers underestimate how much putts break, especially on longer putts. When in doubt, play more break than you think. Another mistake is reading only from behind the ball. You need multiple angles to get an accurate read. Take the time to look from behind the hole and from the low side. Many golfers also fail to account for speed in their reads. They pick a line but then hit the putt too hard or too soft, which changes the break. Your line and speed must match. Finally, many players don't trust their read. They second-guess themselves and make a tentative stroke. Once you've read the putt, commit to it and make a confident stroke. So there you have it. Reading greens explained. Remember, reading greens is a skill that improves with practice and experience. The more putts you read and watch, the better you'll get at predicting how the ball will roll. Don't expect to read every putt perfectly right away. Even professional golfers with years of experience still miss red putts sometimes. The key is to develop a consistent routine. Look at putts from multiple angles and learn from every putt you hit. Start paying more attention to how your putts actually roll compared to what you predicted. This feedback is how you'll improve. Over time, you'll develop better instincts for reading greens, and you'll start making more putts. Hit that like button if this helped you understand green reading better, and I'll see you on the course.